You want to start a beauty brand and you are absolutely in the right place to learn how. I run Formula Botanica, the online organic formulation school, and we have trained up thousands of people to start beauty brands all over the world. So you could not have found a better YouTube channel to learn from. Because not only do we have over a decade of experience in training up formulators and beauty entrepreneurs, but we also have access to tens of thousands of people who have started beauty brands. And best of all, we polled over 2,000 of them to gather a goldmine of information about their dreams, their ideas, and their plans, which I'm going to share with you in this video. So we know it's possible to start a beauty brand on a budget while still creating a sustainable and viable business. In fact, if you go to the Formula Botanica website, our online gallery showcases many hundreds of graduate brands, and the majority of these indie beauty founders have bootstrapped their businesses, relying on their own time and money to get started. But you are likely to need some help at certain stages, whether it's in outsourcing manufacturing or raising finance or brand design. So in this video, I help you think through 7 key questions that you need to ask yourself before you start a beauty business. Answering them will give you a greater insight into what it takes to start a brand and will help you plan for success and set you on your way to joining our graduate gallery. Question number 1, which I want you to answer before you start your beauty brand is, do you plan to outsource any tasks in your business? It's easy to think that you'll do everything yourself when you start your beauty brand, and many beauty entrepreneurs do. But I want you to think about what that actually means. Because doing everything yourself will be cheaper because you'll be trading your time for money, but it also means that you'll go slower precisely because you'll be trading your time for money, and that's absolutely fine. Interestingly, it turns out that this question splits the crowd. So when we polled over 2,000 people who planned to start a beauty brand, we found that almost half of the respondents, about 46%, said that they would do everything themselves. Whereas 42% of people said that they had planned to outsource some tasks such as marketing, accounting, design, and so on. Of course, the less you outsource, the fewer startup expenses you might have. But weighed against doing it all yourself are the savings that you can make in time spent getting to market and in needing to teach yourself on the job about aspects of the business that you don't know, such as brand design or social media marketing, even photography. So my advice is to make a list of the skills that you need to get your formulations retail ready. In this way, you'll get a good picture of what you can do yourself and save money on, and what is best outsourced while you use your own skill set better. There'll be lots of partners out there that you might need beyond simply hiring a graphic designer. For example, if your mission is to have organic certification, ask yourself if you know how to meet the demands required by organic certification bodies if you manufacture in a home lab. Perhaps you might need to outsource manufacturing early on. We've seen all approaches among our graduate brand founders. Every beauty entrepreneur's circumstances are different, so there is no right choice to make about outsourcing any tasks in your business. Deciding to outsource or not is far from a simple yes or no decision. And your response to this question now might change later on in your business as you expand and need, for instance, greater manufacturing capacity. Take our graduates Bybee, for example, who studied with Formula Botanica. When they launched, they were making their products themselves at home and cycling them to their customers in London. Now they outsource their manufacturing because they create over 1 million units of skincare a year. Pretty wild, right? So if you do plan to do everything yourself in the beginning, then just know I love that you're so keen to bootstrap your business. You can absolutely do this. And I would encourage you to view this approach as an opportunity to invest in yourself and in your skills and in your future brand. The second question I want you to answer before you start your beauty brand is, how quickly do you intend to launch your brand? Do you want to launch within the next 3 months, or are you happy to take the time to perfect all of the aspects of your business? There's no right or wrong answer here. Chances are you want to go fast because you're excited, because you have a great idea, because you know that you want to start changing the world with your beauty brand. It turns out that you're not alone, and this is a very common response. So when we polled 2,000 beauty entrepreneurs, 55% of them, that's 1,100 people, said that they intended to launch their beauty brand within 1 year. About 1/4 said they would take 2 to 3 years, and everyone else said they would take as long as they needed. So mindset and motivation are everything when it comes to setting timeframes. You can definitely launch a beauty brand within a year. It will need you to be committed to your goals and to stay the course when you face the first hurdles that every entrepreneur will come up against. This is totally normal and expected when you're running a brand. You will also need to be efficient and organised. But we have seen just how determined our graduates are to succeed. Let me give you just a couple of examples. Our US-based graduate, Sandra Velasquez, launched her Mexican heritage bath and body line, Nopalera, just as the pandemic started. Even with the uncertainty of the market and the times, she set herself ambitious goals to get her business going, as she needed to change her life and create an income for herself and her young daughter. Within 2 years of launch, 2 years, she was raising millions in finance. She's won awards, both for her products and for herself as an entrepreneur. She has been featured on leading media channels across the US. Sandra's story is not only incredible, but also a lesson into how to make things happen. So another graduate I want to talk to you about is Roshan Dorset of the UK brand The Glossary, who did everything herself, from formulation to brand design, and she managed to get her products to market in 6 months, as well as completing her Formula Botanica diplomas at the same time. Now, both of these women had a clear vision of their brands, which helped keep them on a tight roadmap to launch. Each entrepreneur faces a different situation across the world, but some fundamentals remain the same. You will need to lay the groundwork in terms of defining your brand mission, as this gives you the clarity to move forward and work faster and smarter. Even decisions on where to source ingredients and where to sell your products will fall into place faster when you have your overriding mission mapped out. However tempting, don't skip the brand mission and vision stage in your haste to launch. Otherwise, you might get stuck on small details, like branding in particular, if you don't have clarity about why you're starting a cosmetics business. The third question I want you to ask yourself is, how many formulations should you launch with? Because once you start formulating, you'll soon realize there are so many different botanical formulations that you could make and sell. It's so exciting when you formulate your own cleansers and lotions and toners and bars and serums and shampoos and moisturizers and masks. So how many products should you launch with when you start a beauty brand? Well, it turns out there isn't a clear number, but we always recommend starting small. This will keep the costs down, but also makes everything far more manageable in the beginning. And believe me, I say this from experience, having watched some of our graduates launch with 20 or 30 products and feel totally overwhelmed. When we polled our audience, almost half of the people who responded told us that the most popular number of products to launch with in a skincare range is 3 to 5. Although close behind, we found almost as many people mentioned 2 to 3 products as ideal. There were very few people who wanted to launch with more than 5 formulations, and that is a good thing. Now, there are pros and cons to launching with a greater or smaller number of products. A hero product or 2 can get you to market faster and can help you launch your brand with lower costs. A single stellar product with a clear, unique selling proposition gives you a chance to test the market, to focus on and get to know your customers, and even revise a formulation based on their feedback if you need to. A smaller business is more manageable and easier to start at home, as a side hustle too. If you do launch with a large range, you'll have added expenses to cover up front as you buy a larger number of ingredients or you have to outsource your manufacturing costs. Not all of the products in your range may sell well, and you might be left with stock that's expiring. So a larger range that contains 3 or more formulations does, however, mean that you can offer customers a complete beauty routine. These are all of our graduate products, by the way. And complementary products are ideal to bundle together in discount offers and to upsell. Retailers like to showcase brands with several products, so you might need to have a retailer strategy in place early on if you sell a range. A single product simply won't show up on a store shelf. So before plucking a random number out of a hat, think carefully about what you can handle financially when it comes to making your products. And think about how you can best market a range or a single hero product. You need to devise your brand storyline to support either option, as this will entice your customers to buy and it might get you media attention. Again, I really want to stress that your brand mission and your vision are key to your decision to be bold and launch with a single or couple of products or an entire range. The fourth question I want you to ask yourself is, who is going to manufacture your formulations? Because once you learn to formulate, you, very understandably, might want to keep making your own products so that you can make sure they meet all your standards and use exactly the ingredients that you want. But once you've been going for a while, you might decide that you want someone else to take care of making your formulations because you don't have the time to keep manufacturing lots of units every time you make a sale. Remember I talked about our graduates Bybee earlier and the fact that they're now manufacturing over 1 million units a year. They could never do that by themselves anymore. So when we polled our community, almost half of our questionnaire respondents said that they would manufacture their brand's formulations themselves. And this is, of course, just how our students start their formulation journey with us as well when they study with us. They're learning to formulate in a home lab like this one. And later on, as they plan their businesses, they upgrade by creating either dedicated manufacturing space, often still at home in a converted spare room or garden shed, or outsourcing your manufacturing. And I touched on this earlier, but it's worth adding that you need to consider not only how you will be manufacturing at the start, but also how you'll do so in a year or two down the line. You see, your brand might grow faster than you think. And customers and retailers will want to know that you can supply them promptly. They want your products. So think about where you will manufacture, as it can take considerable time to convert your home space or find premises and adapt them for cosmetic manufacturing. If you do choose to outsource, you might even need to pitch your brand and startup range to the cosmetic manufacturer. So I recently interviewed Sarah Brown, who's the CEO and founder of Pi Skincare, one of the world's most sought after organic brands. Amazing. And I interviewed her on my Green Beauty Conversations podcast. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet. And she explained in her interview why she chose to keep manufacturing in-house. It gave her oversight of the quality of Pi's organic ingredients and it gave her greater flexibility. We've seen so many innovative ideas for home and artisan cosmetics labs. It's amazing what we see in our community. So our graduate Stella Nisreen Kanan in Denmark, she has a glass-sided floor in her salon premises in Copenhagen, which houses her formulation lab. She wanted total transparency about how she works, so she created her space so clients could watch her formulating in action. How cool is that? Or our graduate Boreal Folk, whose founder, Raphael Gagnon, she ethically wild harvests ingredients, which are then formulated in her mobile camper van workshop as she and her partner moved around the wild areas of Canada. So there aren't many limits to where and how you can formulate, as long as you do so safely, compliantly, to good manufacturing practice standards and legally. A home lab like this one can lower your startup costs. But you do need to inform yourself about your country's laws regarding cosmetics manufacture and regulation. And you do need to be well versed in good manufacturing practice, which we teach all of our students. The fifth question I want you to ask yourself is, who will design your beauty brand? Let me guess. As you've probably been considering your beauty brand launch for a while now, I'm sure you've been thinking about what it could look like. I suspect you will likely already have some ideas on the look and feel that you desire for your brand. You might even have been using a Pinterest board to gather visuals on logos and fonts and colours and packaging ideas that appeal to you. But let's repeat the well-known phrase, a brand is more than its logo, or its colours, or its packaging. A brand lives in your customers' minds, and it needs to resonate with them as part of their lifestyle, not just their skincare needs. A good brand can make or break your business. Now, you can DIY your brand and you can pay very little for online graphic design services these days. But your brand needs more than just a logo and a few colours to make itself seen and appeal in a busy indie beauty market. I've watched a lot of well-meaning beauty entrepreneurs DIY their brand, and it rarely pays off. So I do want to encourage you to think about getting a professional to help you. Now, when we polled our community, more than half of them said that they would work with a professional to create all or parts of their brand. The remaining 43% said that they would make their entire brand themselves. So if you do plan to create your own brand from scratch, then you'll need to go through a branding exercise, which starts with doing a lot of hard thinking about your mission and your vision. This is the ethos that drives everything from your formulations to your marketing, and it attracts your target customers. There's no reason for your beauty brand to exist unless you know exactly what your big mission is. Now, our graduate, Sandra Velasquez of Nopalera, she spent a great deal of time on getting her brand mission defined. Her mission was so strong, she wants to elevate Latino heritage products. And the look and feel of her branding immediately fell into place as her designer straight away grasped what Sandra wanted to achieve. So armed with a really strong message and great visual branding, Nopalera hit the market, gaining attention immediately. And look at how gorgeous her brand is. Her hard work has really paid off. So whether you have the in-house capabilities and design or whether you outsource, just make sure you're guided by your mission and your vision. Don't skip this first stage, which is your deep dive into everything that drives your brand. Clarity is key. The sixth question I want you to ask yourself is, where will you sell your products? So when it comes to selling the formulations that you've designed and you've made, you've got two main options. You can either sell directly through your website, or you can work with retailers who stock your brand and sell to their customers, or you could do both. Pretty much everyone, though, starts by selling direct to their customers through their website and through their social media channels. Selling direct to consumers, customers from your website increases your profit, as you're not paying retail and wholesale or distributor commissions. However, this takes time to build up. Many startup beauty entrepreneurs build beautiful websites to showcase their products, and they envisage this surge of online sales from day one. Now, I don't want you to underestimate the skills, the time, and the funds you need to get known online and to build an email list of fans and loyal customers. You will not see a huge influx of traffic from day one. You need to hustle to get those people on your website. But once you're established, direct-to-consumer or D2C sales can offer a fantastic platform for your brand. So what about retailers? Well, getting into the right retailer can be the start of a long and mutually beneficial partnership. Whether you're thinking about local retailers or big city stores, you need to do your homework on them. Retail buyers are busy people, and they have tens of brands approach them unsolicited every single week. So to stand out, you need to work out if their customers are a good fit for you. And you need to do your homework on the other beauty brands that they stock. If you get the attention of buyers, be prepared to create a brief pitch presentation, send them full-size products, and do your numbers, do your sums. They will expect you to be able to keep them stocked if your product proves to be in demand. Now, when we polled 2,000 beauty entrepreneurs in our community, 2/3 of them said that they would aim to sell directly from their website as well as through retailers. So they very sensibly understand that you need to grasp every sales opportunity that you can get. Now, regardless of how you launch, you will get a huge buzz from that first sale. And as we know from our graduates, even 1,000 sales later, that excitement of being your own boss, of having created beauty products and a brand from scratch, never leaves you. So the seventh and final question I want you to ask yourself when starting a beauty brand is, will you start your beauty business as a small side hustle, or do you aim to grow big, fast? Now, most indie beauty entrepreneurs start their cosmetics business at the kitchen table. Women have been starting beauty brands this way for well over 150 years. And when I started digging into the history of the beauty industry, I read about the founders of some of today's big name beauty conglomerates, the giants, such as Estee Lauder and Helena Rubinstein. And that's exactly what they did too. They also started at the kitchen table. In fact, some historical female-founded beauty brands that live on today were started by women at a time when we didn't even have the vote. And there's a reason that they started as a side hustle at home. It's far more affordable to start that way. So you can absolutely do this because women across the world have been paving the way for you for a very long time. Your only question left to answer is, how big do you want to take your beauty business? Is this going to be a small side hustle for you, or are you aiming for global domination? Because you can absolutely go big quickly, but I do want you to be realistic about the fact that this will take a lot of time, a lot of effort, and most importantly, a lot of money. So in order to figure out the best type of business for you, ask yourself where you see yourself and your brand in 2, in 5, in 10 years' time. If you have a dream of running a global brand, then there are different things to think through at the start, because you'll need to look hard at where and how you can raise finance. And also you'll need to think about that manufacturing ethos that I mentioned earlier, such as whether to keep control of making your products in-house or whether to outsource manufacturing. Now, when we polled our community, 78% of our 2,000 respondents said that they were starting their businesses small and as a side hustle. And this is a super sensible place to start. It also allows you to move from part-time to full-time entrepreneur by growing organically over time. My advice is to carry out a similar exercise to the one you need to do on branding. Plan ahead and think through where you see your brand going and about your aspirations for both your business and your personal lifestyle as a brand founder. There are merits to keeping your brand as a small operation and also in planning to grow fast and go global, like our graduate co-founders of Bybee Beauty did, who I showed you earlier. So I hope that this video has helped you think things through and given you inspiration to set your own course in this big wide world of indie beauty. There is so much scope and potential for newcomer beauty brands to show that they can make a difference to people and the planet. Some Formula Botanica graduates have seen their brands take off very quickly. It is absolutely possible to create a successful beauty brand and take the world by storm with your big mission and idea. Don't be surprised if yours does too. Just start on your path learning to formulate and discover how much fun and how empowering making your own beauty formulations is. Botanical formulation can completely change your life, just as it has for so many of our graduates. I know I'll be welcoming you into our graduate gallery before long too.